Hey, what's up, guys? It's MugenLord here, and today I bring to you a first impression video of Valkyrie Elysium. And before we dive into it, I just appreciate the fact is that you guys wanted to hear my thoughts on this because I had no plans on covering any first impressions on Star Ocean Divine Force demo nor Valkyrie Elysium, but you guys really wanted to hear my thoughts on it. So I'm gonna give you guys what you asked for. Let's dive right into it. But before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button because it helps me in the channel. And also hit that bell to be notified to get your notifications of when I upload new videos. So let's dive right into it. So how do I feel about Valkyrie Elysium? I would say this. The game isn't bad, but the game from so far from the demo isn't really good either. It's just mediocre. It's just average when it comes to this game. And I think there's a lot of things at play here when it comes to that and how I feel about it. Now, I will say one thing about this as well. This demo also allowed me to make the decision whether or not should I pick the game up day one, because I was going to pre-order the game or I was just going to pick the game up day one because I wanted to have some content for you guys as far as reviews, impressions, and everything on this game. But after playing the demo, I would say that this is going to be a holiday purchase for me instead of a day one purchase, which also opens up room for me to actually have time to play DO Field Chronicles. And also when Divine Force Star Ocean comes out, I'll be able to have time to play that. So it's not like I'm not going to buy the game at all. I just know that now this is going to be a holiday release. So I just want to get that out of the way. So what do I feel about the game? How do I feel about it? How does it plays? How does it look? And just the overall tone of the game. Now, for starters, you guys already heard my opinion of what I thought about it when I first saw the announcement of Valkyrie Elysium. I said that yes, it's good that we get another Valkyrie game. We haven't seen this franchise or just series in general in a very long time. So it's glad that we pretty much get a chance to actually see a new game made in the entry of this series. But the problem is there's so much about this game that doesn't feel like a Valkyrie game to me. And I think the main issue is that one, Tri-Ace is not working on it. Tri-Ace is the original developers behind the Valkyrie series. Tri-Ace is not working on this at all. Instead, they have Square Enix has another studio that's working on it, and it really shows, and you can actually really see it here by the overall design of the game. I think the thing that really gets to me the most is the overall presentation and how the game looks. Now, I also always give leeway when it comes to double A titles because this is not a triple A title. So I wasn't going in expecting a Final Fantasy triple A experience. I wasn't expecting anything triple A from this. You can tell by even the first trailer when this game was revealed is that this is going to be a double A experience. So I'm all open for it, and I'm an advocate for more double A titles because everything don't need to be a blockbuster title at all. Sometimes you need those little titles sprinkled in between the big, blockbuster titles and everything. So the Valkyrie series, if this is going to get the chance for the Valkyrie series to get some shine and be open and exposed to a whole brand new audience, then I'm all for it. But the problem is it feels and it looks like it has no identity. It just feels generic in a way, and it looks generic. And the Valkyrie series has its own style, it has its own look to it, where it makes it feel unique and it stands on its own as far as its presentation and even down to its gameplay. And I think today, when it comes to RPGs, a lot of Japanese developers are, straying away from turn-based or just some of the more unique gameplay mechanics they could potentially have, and they trade it in for a more action style JRPG. And that's what this game has become. They dished away a lot of the turn-based aspects that the original games have. And like I said, I'm all for experimentations at times, but if it's executed well, or if it's at least done in a way where I say, okay, it's passable, I can play it, and I'll continue to play it because it at least has me hooked into it long enough. Because the Valkyrie series also had a tactics game, and the tactics game wasn't that bad at all either. So trying out different things is not the problem. The problem is where it ditches some of the best things that makes it feel special, and then it ends up being something that's no different than what's already out there. And that's what I think Valkyrie Elysium is when it comes to its gameplay. It's just cookie cutter, copy and paste of of a generic action JRPG, and that's what it feels like, even down to its combat. I mean, it does have some mechanics that that's pretty cool. For simple fact is, the Valkyrie, which is the main character, her role is from Odin himself. He had created her because after a war that had broken out between Odin, Father Odin, and Fenrir, they both injured each other, and after the fight had taken place, Fenrir had disappeared for some time, and Odin was very injured, and he knew that Ragnarok was on the way. Ragnarok is pretty much the end of the world. So in order to stop the end of the world, he had to create a being that'll be able to help in saving or preventing Ragnarok, which is where the Valkyrie come into place. Now, the Valkyrie has this ability to purify souls, and you end up finding souls and recruiting souls of dead warriors. And once you recruit them, you don't have like a party, like you just have the Valkyrie, you just play as her, but she does have the ability to call in these souls as partners that can, and companions that can help pretty much assist you during battle. Now, each partner, what they do is they have their own elemental ability, they have their own special abilities that they can utilize on the playing field to solve puzzles or to create different passageways. For example, in the demo itself, you had this one champion who had a bow and arrow and had the ability to shoot ice onto parts of the field where you were able to make, ice floors to be able to cross, to make bridges and everything. And then you have the knight hero, where he can pretty much use his abilities to pretty much break down boulders to create new passageways for you to be able to enter. So you'll be able to utilize your companions outside of battle. Now, each companion also has special elemental abilities. With the elemental abilities, when you in combat, which is, like I said, it's an action RPG, when you attack the enemies, the word weakness will pop up. So if they're weak against lightning, you can use the knight companion who has the lightning type base abilities, and what it does is your opponent has two gauges. You have the health gauge, which is on the left of them, and then you have the weakness gauge, which is on the right of them. So whatever their weakness is, and if you have any magic abilities, or if you have a companion that has stats that's part of that weakness, you can be able to fill up the gauge, which calls a crush gauge. The crush gauge allows you to demobilize the enemy, and you're able to stun them, and you be able to perform combos on the enemy. So yes, there is some aspects to it where strategy does come into play, but the overall combat itself, as I started playing through it, it felt, after a while, it did get kind of repetitive to me. I'm just pressing the button, just going along with the motions and everything. You do have to think every once in a while, especially some enemies have invincibility or super armor, so sometimes you have to wait for the enemies to strike at a certain time in order for you to be able to capitalize and increase your damage in order to stun them and everything. And then also, when it comes to the combat, what matters the most is upgrading your Valkyrie. You have a skill tree, which enemies will drop gems. They drop the gems, you pick the gems up, and you go to the menu, or you go to a crystal that allows you to go there and upgrade your weapon. And once you upgrade your weapon, it increases its ability, and also you learn new special attacks. And then you can go to your Valkyrie herself and go to the skill tree, which you can pretty much enhance your attack, support, and your defense. You have defense abilities where you can learn how to parry, roll, dodge. Also, you have your support, where you learn the ability to double jump and other type of abilities that allow you to be able to traverse the stages. And also, you have attack, where you're able to increase not only your attack but also learn new special attacks with your weapon that you have at your disposal. And then not only that, when you fight bosses, some bosses will also have a special weapon that they'll drop, because you have to collect many different weapons besides the sword that she has. There's a rapier from the first boss that I defeated, and now she has a new move set when you switch to that. And you have shortcuts where you'll be able to apply your special weapons and also your healing items. And also, when you attack the enemy, you have your blue gauge, which is the soul gauge. Since the soul gauge utilizes your what they call it, Enhired, which is your champion, that allows you to be able to have the champions on the field even much longer. And you can be able to summon your champions 2 at a time or all of them at once if you can, but it takes more of the soul gauge. And you, like I said before, by attacking the enemy and collecting soul gauge energy from the enemies with the crystals, you'll be able to pretty much increase that. So yes, there is a layer of depth to it, but after a while, like I said before, it started feeling a bit more repetitive. And I think for me, when it comes to gameplay, you're going to have that gameplay loop. You're going to have where you're going to just do something repetitively in repetition over and over again. But it's the fact is, how fun is it? Is it fun to the point where you're willing to not even notice it and just keep going through it? Like how I play my other JRPGs, like Xenoblade. You know, the combat is really fun, so I don't mind grinding over and over and over and over again when it comes to the combat, because I just enjoy the gameplay loop. But for this, like I said before, it's only the demo, so it could open up and it could change my perspective on it. But as of right now, I don't know. I just found myself just going through the motions. It's just not really. I found myself just getting bored after a while, while playing it. Now she also has this lasso that you can also use to capitalize and extend your combos, and then it's just not just there for like clamping onto ledges. You can also string onto the enemy's weaknesses, and you can also pull into the enemies to stun them for a little bit, so you can be able to continue your combos and everything. So you can also play around with that as well. So there is room for creativity, because I can see that you can be able to expand more what you can do with the Valkyrie character herself. But as I said before, you explore dungeons, and the dungeon layouts are very basic. There's not really much to them. Most of them is just open corridors, open spaces, and there's a little bit of puzzles involved, where I was in this shrine looking place, and there's chains connected to the door, so I had to run around and follow the chain to see where it leads. Then there's a chain that's in place that I have to break, which is there's a bunch of enemies in place that I had to kill, get out of the way, and I essentially was able to open up those doors once I broke the chains. I can see right now boss fights are going to be complicated, because there is some patterns that you really have to learn when fighting a boss, and also you have to, you know, play around with what their weakness could potentially be, because as far as the demo, I had learned the fire ability, healing, lightning, and then my campaign, and then also the ice ability. So you also have to just keep those in mind and tinker around with what could possibly hurt the boss the most and everything. But the bosses are definitely challenging. Just you have to sit down and actually read their patterns. So just keep that in mind. But like I said, the Valkyrie herself and how she looks, and the interface, the layout itself, it reminds me somewhat of a mobile game. And that's the thing that I think that really gets me the most, is that they didn't really spend time to actually flesh out a look that makes it stand out the most. It just seems like a typical action RPG, a run-of-the-mill factory action RPG, you know. And when you look at the Valkyrie herself, she's like devoid of personality, or she just looks generic. She don't stand out to me. And I said this before in my previous video, she don't stand out like Lilith, the original Valkyrie from the original series. She don't stand out like her at all. You know, she looks soulless, devoid of emotion, and she just looked like something from a mobile game. I can see this being like a mobile game type of Valkyrie game, and I think that would suffice more as far as the look. I'm not talking about gameplay, I'm just talking about the look of it. It looks like it could be passed for a mobile game. It runs at 60 frames every once in a while, and I'm playing on the PS5. Every once in a while it may be 60 frames, but for some reason it does dip in frames just a little bit. I don't know why it does, but as far as that's concerned, the performance is not too bad. It doesn't really messes up my experience as far as me playing the game. Now there's another mechanic where you have to go to Valhalla, meet with Odin himself, and you have to go to this main globe, and this is where most of the gameplay is going to be at. This is where you pick up story missions to go through the chapters, and you also pick up subquests. Now, how do you get subquests? From what I understand and from what I'm playing, when I went through the first level, the forest level, going into the dungeon itself, there's these little plants that's there on the ground that you pick up, and these plants are like souls of NPCs that once inhabit the area. So you get backstory of the area, and you will find potential spirits that will give you subquests. So I'm thinking that there may not be towns in this game, that you'll be relegated to constantly keep going and revisiting different of the same levels as you earn different quests to be able to unlock different items, perks, and maybe get some more lore as far as the story is concerned, to understand how this world works. But other than that, man, there's really not much else that I would really like to add about this. It's really, this game is, it plays it safe. It's average. It's not bad. It's not good. I wish they could have designed the characters to be much more appealing. It just looks too plain to me. And like I said, if you're a Valkyrie fan and you love the Valkyrie series, you'll definitely feel some type of way about this, because it doesn't have that soul or that spirit of what a Valkyrie game is. It does have somewhat some of the music to make it feel like it's a Valkyrie game, but it's definitely not a Valkyrie game at all. And I don't like that stupid run that she has. She runs like a Naruto character. I don't know why they made her run like that. Could have gave her better running animations. But what can you expect? This is a AA title, and there are definitely good AA titles out there, like Alive Alive remake and plenty of other AA titles that really shines a lot. But this one really plays it close to heart. It really plays it safe, and it doesn't really stand out, at all from the rest of the, action RPGs that's out there. This is something that you'll probably overlook, or it's something that you'll say, oh, I caught a sale on this. Let me go give it a try. That's what it feels like to me from playing this right now. It just feels like, okay, if the price drop, or hey, I cleared my backlog, or hey, I need a game to play, I'll give this game a try. And I think that if you're not a Valkyrie fan, you'll give it a try. You'll pick it up and play it, and may not find any like real issues with it, since you're used to playing, action RPGs. So this will just be another action RPG that you can just play. But that's pretty much my overall impressions. I would say, for me personally, I'm glad I did play the demo. So this won't be a day one purchase. This will be a Christmas purchase for me to be able to play. So this would give me more time to play DioField Chronicles, as I said before, and maybe jump into the Tales of the Sky, the first game, and play that afterwards, leading up to Star Ocean Divine Force. So that wraps this video up. And before I close out this video, I just want to remind you guys that I didn't forget, because you guys have been asking me about the Scarlet Nexus review. It was taking me so long, is I have hundreds of clips of gameplay and everything. And normally what I learned is how my reviews are so much easier to make is when I take all my gameplay and everything and divvy them up and divide them and put them in categories. I categorize them as, for cutscenes, combat, or special gameplay mechanics, menu system, and stuff like that. So what I have to do is take all 100 videos and look through them and render them into big to like single clips for like combat part 1, combat part 2, or story scenes part 1, story, like stuff like that. Once I render all those to break them down, so it's easier for me when I get into the editing process, it's much easier for me to actually go through them, look through the videos, and say, okay, I want to pull this clip, I want to pull this out. So when I'm talking about certain things in the video, I'm able to actually pinpoint this clip. I can grab this to grab this, so it's much easier. So Scarlet Nexus is definitely coming. I just got to render all these videos. Once that happens, then we'll do the review. I think I may do the review like I did Destiny Connect. It was much easier. Instead of me having just gameplay playing, you'll just have me on camera and I'll flicker through gameplay as I speak about certain things. I think it's much easier for me to do that than to me to just sit there and just have all gameplay footage and then gotta keep going through which gameplay footage that I want to show while talking about the game. So I'll do that. But next game that I'll be working on, giving my first impressions, will be DioField Chronicles. I just picked it up yesterday, so I'll be playing this over the weekend and then expect the first impressions during the week. I'll also be playing the demo for Star Ocean Divine Force, so expect the Divine Force demo impressions to be up Monday. Monday will be the Star Ocean Divine Force demo impression, so expect that Monday. It may be up in the morning, or it may be up in maybe the afternoon, but it'll definitely be up Monday, so expect that. So that pretty much wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed the first impressions. Let me know your thoughts in the comment sections below, what you think about Valkyrie Elysium. And for you guys who don't know, the original game is going to be released on PlayStation as well. It's called Valkyrie Elysium Edition, which is the PSP version, I believe. They will be releasing that. It's going to be like I guess a HD remaster, or they're going to be doing something with it. It was supposed to come out during the launch of this game if you pre-ordered the deluxe digital edition, but they end up making the announcement that they're pushing it back into December 22nd. So if you guys are looking to play the original, which I'll be buying it and definitely going to be doing a review on that, so make sure you check that out when that definitely drops. But if you like the video, hit that like button. It definitely helps me out. Hit the subscribe button, because the subscribe button definitely lets you know that a lot of you guys are like really in tune and really love what's going on in the channel. And hit that notification bell, because the notification bell definitely alerts you guys, or hopefully alerts you guys, of when I have more videos to upload on the channel. So this is MugenLord signing off. I'll see you Game Fiends later. Peace out.